April had a legit Game of the Year contender, and that's not hyperbole, with significant 1.0 releases, follow-ups from reputable developers, and some very interesting games, beginning with Sephiria, a top-down action roguelite created by Team Hooray, the creators of Dungreed. You begin at the top of a crumbling tower, guided by a talking tree, playing as a rabbit warrior who has to descend the tower and fight enemies in order to save your village at the top. Combat is fast-paced and demands precision as you dodge, block, and strike, gathering artifacts and tablets that enhance your abilities with roguelite randomization for replayability, and is just a well-made one of these. I love the look of Kingdom Stack, a turn-based strategy game where you build a medieval kingdom using cards with an excellently done voxel art style, especially in the buildings, which just looks awesome. This is card-based, where each card represents a building, unit, or spell, and you must choose wisely to expand your realm and to defend against enemies. During the day, you gather resources like food, wood, and gold to construct structures and train soldiers, and at night, enemies attack, testing your defenses and strategic planning. There are deck building elements and some degree of randomization, but is not exactly a full roguelite and has limited replayability. This video is brought to you by Animal Well Design Works, the latest release from video game book publisher and culture preservationist Lost in Cult, whose books are beautifully done and are art pieces in themselves, this time taking you on a deep dive into the puzzle Metroidvania hit from 2024, which is one of the best indie games of that year. The standard edition book features over 200 pages of beautiful art, developer interviews, a behind-the-scenes look at never-before-seen forgotten early prototypes, along with more insights and secrets, with the book also having a glow-in-the-dark cover, which is absolutely gorgeous. For a limited time until July 1st, 2025, the deluxe edition will be available, including a UV reactive slipcase with a rainbow holographic finish, 3 art prints, a save game bookmark, 4 pins, and an infinitely looping cassette playing ambient sounds from the game. Also available is the Animal Well original soundtrack vinyl with tracks from the game on one side, ambient mixes on the other, and includes unreleased tracks as well. So if interested, click on the link in the description and use my code BESTINDIEAW to get 5% off your order. Deadzone Rogue is a roguelite first-person shooter which had a huge amount of momentum going into its launch, and I'm happy to report that it is pretty good. You wake up on a silent ship, the ISS X, with no clue of who you are. The halls are dark and machines are hunting you, so you must fight your way through and figure out what is going on. Nothing too interesting or crazy about the narrative here, but this game is all about the action and gunplay, with a nice variety of weapons like plasma cannons and sniper rifles, which can have unique elemental effects. Augments and perks further increases build variety, and also has co-op support, having taken a fantastic first step, so I'll be interested to see where this goes in early access. We also had the 1.0 release of MEMORIAPOLIS, a game which places you at the helm of a civilization, guiding it through 5 distinct historical eras: Antiquity, Middle Ages, Renaissance, Enlightenment, and the Industrial Revolution through 2,500 years. This city builder emphasizes organic growth, where your city's layout evolves naturally based on your decisions and the needs of your citizens. Instead of placing roads down manually, the citizens determine the pathways, leading to a dynamic and realistic urban sprawl which results in pretty cool looking cities. Each era introduces unique architectural styles, technologies, and societal challenges, requiring you to adapt your strategies continually. One key factor is political intrigue, which plays a significant role, since as your city grows, factions emerge, each with their own agendas and influence within the Senate. Balancing these factions is crucial, as their support or opposition can determine the success of your decrees. Your citizens will have evolving needs beyond basic resources, including culture, freedom, and equality, pushing you to make complex decisions that shape your city's legacy. April also saw the release of Crashlands 2, a vibrant action-adventure crafting RPG where you play as a space trucker who crash lands on an alien planet teeming with quirky creatures and unexpected challenges. Crafting is at the heart of the game as you gather resources to build tools, weapons, and a cozy home base. The planet is alive with dynamic ecosystems, with creatures and the environment interacting with each other, which could lead to clever tactics like luring hostile creatures into an explosive meadow. Combat requires timing and strategy, with dodge rolling and charged attacks adding more combat depth. But for the most part, it doesn't appear to be the focus. As you explore, you can befriend eccentric aliens, each offering unique quests and crafting recipes with a heavy dose of humor as well, with it being fairly similar to the original, but with shiny new graphics and features, and is a good game. Hollywood Animal is a simulation and strategy game set during the dawn of sound cinema, where you take the helm of a major Hollywood studio and guide it through decades of creative achievements and challenges. You are involved in every step of the filmmaking process, from creating plots to theatre distribution, with each part crafted with artistry and dedication. However, success takes more than one form, since you can choose to build a multi-billion-dollar blockbuster empire, a boutique studio conquering film festivals, or even a trash factory challenging good taste at every turn. However, in addition to the movie-making management aspect, the world is ever-changing, filled with wars, social upheaval, censorship, and corruption, and you need to navigate through this mess, make strategic moves behind the scenes, form unexpected alliances, and decide on how to handle moral dilemmas. For example, covering up a murder for a promising actor, or even getting involved in the mob, with the option to engage in underhanded tactics to achieve success and will be for strategy game fans. One of the cleverest titles to come along is Erenshor, a single-player RPG that mimics the feel of a classic MMORPG, being very World of Warcraft-like in nature, where you can explore a vast open world, but one which is filled with simulated players controlled by the CPU, who act like real online companions. These characters exist independently of you and will go about on their own journey, being able to level up, complete quests, and even invite you to raids, creating a dynamic and immersive experience. Your choices matter, as every NPC can be interacted with, and your actions influence faction relationships and world events. And for a simulation of an MMO, this developer has managed to nail the look and feel of such a title, but fully single player of course, being perfect if you want the MMO experience but don't want to pay a monthly subscription or, having to coordinate play sessions with your friends. White Knuckle is a first-person, roguelite speed climbing platformer with one of the most distinct and sick-looking art styles, where you find yourself trapped in the depths of Substructure 17, a decaying underground mega-complex, and must ascend through its perilous environments using precision movement mechanics. Each climb demands sharp reflexes and careful resource management as you navigate crumbling walls, dodge lethal traps, and avoid malevolent creatures lurking in the shadows. It has momentum-based locomotion, requiring you to grip ledges, hammer pitons into walls, and manage your stamina to prevent fatal falls. Curiously, there is an inventory in this game, which adds another layer of consideration, since carrying too much can encumber you, while fumbling for tools mid-climb can lead to you falling to your death. However, that is not the end, since you can unlock perks in between runs to take into the next attempt, making it quite a different roguelite, and is certainly worth a play. From the developer of the cult classic Paradise Killer comes Promise Mascot Agency, an open-world mascot management game where you play as a disgraced Yakuza lieutenant exiled to the cursed town of Kasomachi, tasked with reviving this failing business. In case you didn't know, Japan loves their mascots and have one for pretty much everything, and in this world, instead of being humans in costumes, mascots are living beings with their own unique personalities and desires. Recruiting these mascots involves negotiating their demands and managing their unpredictable behaviors, but once on board, they can be trained and sent out on various jobs to earn money and experience. However, assignments often go awry requiring you to deploy hero cards, activating other characters to help, navigate the town in your upgradable K-Truck, and uncover its secrets, all as you find out more about the reasons behind your exile and learn more about the world, being a quirky, odd, and fun indie game. If you love tower defense titles, I believe Gnomes is a Mascot, a turn-based tower defense game where you lead a group of fierce gnomes defending their garden from relentless goblin invasions. Each turn allows you to strategically position your gnomes, utilizing a variety of relics and plant abilities to survive the night. The map is procedurally generated, with more of it being uncovered after each wave, introducing new challenges and opportunities, so you have to adapt your strategy accordingly. You can grow crops that generate resources, plant defensive weeds, and construct buildings to fortify your village, with different gnome guilds to unlock, each with different starting resources and progression, with an excellently done minimalist pixel art look as well. One of the better roguelite deck builders also released out of early access in SpellRogue. Partially of note, since this is being published by Ghost Ship Publishing, the publishing arm of the Deep Rock Galactic people, so they saw something in this game, and indeed it is pretty good. You choose from one of 4 elemental dice slingers of fire, earth, water, and wind, each with unique spells and mechanics, battling through a world corrupted by the Void Walkers. The game introduces a dice-based magic system where you roll mana dice to cast spells, manipulate outcomes, and strategize your moves. With over 350 spells and 145 artifacts, there are various combinations to experiment with, and quite the amount of synergies between them, with those aha moments when you figure out a combo being so satisfying. So if you have been waiting on the sidelines, now's a good time to jump in. Another 1.0 release of note is Forever Skies, a first-person survival title where you play as a lone scientist returning to a ruined Earth where a thick layer of toxic dust blankets the surface. Your mission? Find a cure for a mysterious illness threatening the remnants of humanity. To survive, you must build and pilot a high-tech airship which serves as your home, laboratory, and means of exploration. You can navigate the skies, then stop to land on the roofs of apartment complexes, descending to scavenge for resources from the remnants of civilization. Craft tools and upgrade your vessel to withstand the planet's harsh conditions, which includes evolved flora and fauna as direct adversaries to contend with. Developers from this studio did work on games like Dying Light and Divinity Original Sin, so they have AAA experience, making a pretty good survival game even if it isn't Subnautica, with there still being reports of bugs with the game and some cookie cutter environments that seem to be cut and paste, so not that much uniqueness or variety, but still it's a pretty decent one of these with a definitive end and a different theme. Skin Deep is a quirky first-person immersive sim developed by Blendo Games, makers of quirky titles like Quadrilateral Cowboy and 30 Flights of Loving, where you play as Nina Pasadena, an insurance commando tasked with rescuing cube-headed cats from space pirates aboard sandbox-style spaceships. So yes, not backing down on the quirky factor. You get access to a wide variety of objects which interact with the environment, each other, and enemies in interesting ways, and it's not just limited to guns and shooting. For example, you can make enemies sneeze with pepper or slip on soap or a banana peel to get the jump on them, with many creative ways to mess with the game, which seems to be largely accounted for, so that's pretty fun. It is also level based, so unique handcrafted spaceships, but you can explore in a non-linear fashion, having to sneak around and figure out your strategy on how best to tackle the ship, with the sim still being relatively rare, so if you're a fan, do yourself a favor and get this. One of the heaviest hitters of the month is Into the Dead Our Darkest Days, a side-scrolling survival game set in 1980s Texas, where you guide a group of survivors through a city overrun by zombies. Developed by Pickpock, known for their mobile games, this marks a significant shift to PC, and they are absolutely crushing it with more than 3,500 Steam reviews as of recording. As with most zombie titles, you must scavenge for resources, craft weapons, and manage the physical and mental health of your group as you navigate the dangers of Walton City. Stealth and strategy are critical, requiring careful planning to avoid attracting the undead as you send survivors on missions to best suit their skills, having to balance that with the possibility of losing them should something go very wrong. You have upgradable shelters to manage and house your survivors, but no barriers last forever and your group has to move from refuge to refuge. The dynamic urban landscape changes over time, so each decision you make can have lasting consequences on your group's survival, with moral dilemmas to face and challenges to overcome, including interactions with other human NPCs, and is one of the better zombie titles. We also had the return of the Beholder series in April with Beholder Conductor, in which you play as the senior conductor aboard the Determination Bringer, a train journeying through the totalitarian state. Your duties encompass monitoring passengers, inspecting luggage, and reporting any suspicious activities to the Ministry, and as you progress, opportunities arise to access higher class cabins where you can interact with influential figures and uncover deeper layers of the state's operations. The game challenges you to balance personal morality against professional obligations, presenting choices that impact the narrative's direction. For example, ratting out your fellow employees or even rich businessmen, or you could choose to keep quiet just to see what happens, with the train setting being unique and the pixel art being on point. Developer Strange Scaffold is perhaps the quintessential indie game developer these days, of a team and lead willing to throw spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks, experimenting with all sorts of genres and ideas, some of which are hits, others not so much, with creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3 being the title of interest here. This is a self-styled Match 3 survival horror comedy RPG Metroidvania, having a Resident Evil 1 kind of setup and vibe, throwing you into a haunted mansion teeming with dinosaurs. It is very meta and talks about game development as a concept, breaking the fourth wall, and is set in a world that knows it is a video game. The core of this title lies in its Match 3 combat, where if you played something like Puzzle Quest then you would be familiar, but this is used in all sorts of scenarios, from picking locks or debating robots. There's an evil clone version of your character running around, which swears that he is good, with the incomplete nature of the sequel to a game that doesn't exist being part of this meta-narrative, and was right game, right time for me, since I have been looking for Match 3 games. One of the best roguelite strategy titles of the month is Commander Quest, which blends deck building mechanics with real-time lane-based auto-battler elements. In this game, you choose from various historical commanders such as Richard the Lionheart and Zhuge Liang, leading diverse factions across procedurally generated battlefields. Each commander offers unique abilities and synergies, so you need to build your deck accordingly. Gameplay has a Slay the Spire inspired interface, where you're dragging and dropping cards on the battlefield to play them, with an energy system which limits how many you can use. However, once played, the units automatically move forward to engage the enemy based on their roles and abilities, emphasizing the importance of pre-battle planning and unit placement. As you progress, you'll encounter events and choices that can alter your deck and strategy, adding depth and replayability to each run. Victories reward you with resources to upgrade your deck, unlock new cards, and enhance your commander's skills, allowing for varied playstyles and tactics with a fantastic look as well. My wife is a big fan of developer Castle Games, having spent way too many hours with their previous title Ratopia, so the 1.0 release of Ratopia is of note, but is a different kind of game, and she didn't stick with it as much as a result. This is a side-scrolling colony simulation title, giving off Oxygen Not Included vibes, where you play as a noble rat leader rebuilding a fallen kingdom. You can control the character directly, gathering food, crafting tools, and exploring ruins, but soon you can delegate tasks to your reticents, each with their own needs and quirks. Managing this growing society involves balancing wages, taxes, and public services to maintain happiness and productivity, where each individual Ratizan has their own wealth and works for their own survival. There is a dynamic economy system allowing you to mint currency, engage in trade, and develop a sustainable city. As you progress, you unlock technological advancements, transitioning from medieval tools to futuristic innovations like robotic rats. Exploration plays a significant role, with opportunities to delve into dungeons, uncover ancient relics, and interact with neighbouring factions through diplomacy or warfare. There are also additional challenges like natural disasters and enemy invasions, and it's a deeply complex strategy colony sim, so if you enjoy titles like the aforementioned Oxygen Not Included or titles like RimWorld, then this should be up your alley. Armored Core But Anime Girls is the shorthand description for Doll's Nest, a 3D mecha action game where you control a customizable mecha girl known as a frame unit, exploring the massive factory world of Hod to uncover hidden truths. Hod is a vast location filled with armored units, broken machines, and ruined buildings, presenting a desolate landscape to navigate, where survival depends on scavenging for resources and utilizing found parts and items to overcome various fights. Combat requires careful energy management, since dodging and using weapons consumes energy, and depleting it can leave you vulnerable. You can modify your frame unit by swapping out parts to suit different situations, where defeating key area bosses unlocks new regions to explore. While it draws comparisons to Armored Core, Dark Souls, and Demon Souls, don't go expecting a similar level of quality or duration, since this is a smaller title and is priced as such, and does stand on its own 2 feet and is a good game. Perhaps the most controversial title of the month is Blueprints, a run-based roguelite puzzle adventure game where randomized puzzles sounds like and is a frustrating experience, but yet there's something to this game that has captivated the gaming audience. You are exploring a mysterious, ever-changing mansion to uncover its secrets in search of the elusive Room 46, even though the map given to you seems to only have 45 spots. You are exploring the mansion in first person, where upon reaching a door, you get a choice between 3 rooms, with these providing either more doors to explore further, useful resources, power-ups, clues, or even puzzles to solve. You do have a limited number of steps per run, after which you have to call it a day and the layout resets, with clues persisting across runs as you solve the mystery. There are 3 main camps of people that I have seen with this game: ones that try and eventually beat the game, thinking it was okay, people that absolutely love the title and obsess with every little detail, and ones that go f this shit after not getting the rooms that they want in a run, which forces them to start a new one, with the last group ending up abandoning the game, hence the controversy, where personally, I can see what it's going for and is for puzzle and detective mystery game fans, but if you have a bajillion other games to play, then this can definitely be an exercise in frustration. The aggregated mixed reviews of Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree does obfuscate the quality of the game, since by all accounts, this 2.5D Souls-like Metroidvania is a great game, having 6 unique classes to choose from in the Vanguard, Flame Weaver, Spellbinder, Nightshade, Wild Warden, and Vindicator, with one of you in the comments even mentioning to me that you completed a game with all 6. So, why the rating? Well, at launch, hidden in the EULA or End User License Agreement, there was a clause that enabled the developer to collect personal data, meant, in theory, to collect information to improve the game through balance changes, fixing crashes, and so on, but could have been sold to third parties, which the developer denies having done and have since removed this part in the agreement. However, trust, once broken, is not easily regained, which has led to people swearing off the title altogether. Okay, now that that's out of the way, this feels a bit Salt and Sanctuary-like, due to the grimdark vibe and combat, with the parry being very important, along with extensive progression skill trees and even equipment which allows for build variety even within a single character class, along with multiple endings, and is a solid entry in this genre. They did it again! Developer Landfall, best known for totally accurate battle simulator, has claimed April 1st to be Landfall Day, always having something up their sleeves every year, surprise releasing Haste, which has worked out very nicely for them. This is a high-speed, third-person runner where our heroine is making her way through a collapsing universe, jumping from one procedurally generated world to the next to outrun impending destruction. The game's core mechanics emphasizes momentum-based movement, requiring precise landings and quick reflexes to maintain speed and avoid obstacles. Collecting sparks during your runs allows you to acquire over 90 unique items that can enhance your abilities, such as increased speed, damage or health, tailoring your playstyle for each attempt. So for all the damage that mobile games have done to runner titles, this is an excellent example of a premium title in the genre, and who knows, we might be seeing more Haste-likes down the line. Hey, do you love Command & Conquer? If so, Tempest Rising is a return to form for the real-time strategy genre, complete with campy FMV performances, CNC composer Frank Klepecki being involved in this project, and overall vibes which are very similar. But I'm not complaining. Set in an alternate 1997, decades after nuclear World War III, the Global Defense Force battles the Tempest Dynasty, harvesting a rare plant called Tempest, which gives you credits to build, so GBI, Nod, and Tiberium parallels. There's a third faction named the Veti, which is not yet playable, with each faction being wholly unique, offering distinct playstyles and unit rosters, with the current 2 playable factions each having an 11-mission story campaign along with multiplayer support. This is a full-on classic RTS with base building mechanics, resource management, unit production and combat, none of that streamlined stuff like MOBAs or no base building games, and despite a kerfuffle resulting in the game launching early, people have really taken to this title, and it's good to see a successful RTS. One more 1.0 release that is a must-play is Dinkum, a farming sim title set in the Australian outback, and is very Australian indeed, seen in the environment, colour palette, and that there are kangaroos and crocodiles in the wild. Like most farming games, you begin your journey by leaving your monotonous life in South City to build a new town from scratch. It has the expected farming, hunting, mining, fishing and foraging aspect as you gather resources to expand your town, attracting new townsfolk to live there and businesses to set up shop, giving you access to more advanced items so that you can venture out further to explore with an almost Animal Crossing inspired look, and is one of the best in the genre. And of course, we have to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a turn-based JRPG from a 30-plus person French developer of all things, having one of the most compelling story setups where the Paintress awakens once a year and writes a number down, causing everyone of that age to be killed, with our heroes being on a quest to stop her from painting death ever again. This has Mario and Luigi style active turn-based combat where you need to hit buttons to dodge, parry and aim attacks, with unique characters, each with distinct abilities and skill trees. Funnily enough, there are chained together style third-person platforming sections which are very challenging, on top of the excellent voice acting and gorgeous visuals, selling something like 2 million copies in 10 days, so between this and Baldur's Gate 3, who says that turn-based combat is dead and has to be in the running for Game of the Year? Watch this video for the best games of 2024.